seconds and just a few seconds ahead of Brock Sellers. Well, Mike Brown is celebrating. He's going to paint his own personal signature on the big DAYTONA at Daytona International Speedway.
He also runs that Dale Earnhardt number 3, so a little respect to Dale.
There you go. Mike Brown winning here at Daytona. Something that he has not done in the past. Not only is it his first win of the 2003 season, it is his first win here at Daytona International Speedway. No wonder he was so happy crossing the start-finish line.
I mean, this is a big event. I've always thought if you can win the opener at Anaheim and win Daytona, those are the two biggest races of the year. So for Mike Brown to walk home with this victory is going to mean a lot to Mitch Payton and the whole Pro Circuit team. So he's posing for the photographers right now and being congratulated. As you can see, our Greg White standing by to talk to Mike Brown, the winner of this race. So let's go downstairs to Greg White.
Mike, that was an awesome race. Even with mistakes, you still pulled off that victory in fine style.
Yeah, for sure. All I had to do was just ride and try not to make as many mistakes as I did. I was lucky that Brandon made a mistake, and I got some distance on him there. And I made a mistake back there, so I think he gained it back up. And I'm just pumped. This is the biggest win after my national championship 2 years ago, and I just want to keep it going.
Well, congratulations, Brian.
Our congratulations to Mike Brown as well, winning on a Kawasaki, something that Ricky Carmichael did earlier in his career in 250. Here you can see the top 10, Brown, Jessamine, and Bentley, who held off Brock Sellers to take that final podium spot. Didn't see a lot of Kelly Smith. He just rode a very calm, quiet race into 5th position. The rest of the results from the Daytona Supercross 125 main event here today. And what a terrific one it was for Mike Brown. A day to remember, no question about it. We've still got a lot more memories in store for you. So enjoy a few, and we'll come back and give you some more.
The Daytona Supercross by Honda on Speed is brought to you by Yamaha, makers of fine motorcycles and ATVs. Nobody's more in tune with motorsports than Yamaha. And Dunlop. No other tire has won more AMA championships than Dunlop. Whether you ride on-road or off, ride on the winningest tires in history.
Getting ready for the 250 main event here at the Daytona Supercross by Honda at the International Speedway, the world capital of speed here. But coming up on Speed Channel, the Mobile One, 12 hours of Sebring in nearby Sebring, Florida, one of the great and historic events in all of motorsports. Join everybody that will be bringing that one to you here. ALMS Racing at Sebring, 12 hours. That's going to be terrific. Now, speaking of history, before we get started with this 250 main event, we want to give you a little bit of the sense of the history of Supercross racing. It all began here in Daytona, and we return once again to that very place. History was made on March 9th, 1974, the first ever 250 AMA Supercross. Pierre Karsmakers won and went on to take the 3-race series. In the 500 class that day, eventual legend Roger DeCoster took top honors in his first and only AMA victory. Ron Lecheen's first career AMA 250 Supercross win on June 11, 1983 was the series 100th race. Lecheen would go on to win 7 more AMA 250 mains, but none perhaps more meaningful than that first one in Orlando, Florida. The 200th series race was a fight to the finish for not only the checkered flag, but also the 1990 championship. With time winding down, Damon Bradshaw led Jean-Michel Bayle. If the Frenchman Bayle could get by the feisty North Carolinian, then he would have a shot at the 250 title. If not, a calm, cool Stanton was ready to claim it with a 5th-place ride behind Johnny O'Mara and Mike Kudrowski. With a half a lap remaining, it would all come down to this battle for the lead.
Still out in front. Bayle's going to try it right here. Oh, Bayle's got him! Jean-Michel Bayle, David's got it back! It is Bradshaw! Here comes Bayle! Here comes Bradshaw! It's going to be a drag race! Whoa! The win is going to go to David Brown! No! No! He's got is the Supercross champion!
With Supercross in its 23rd year, the AMA 250 Series reached another milestone with its 300th race. Doug Henry led the series, but hole shot artist Jeff Emig put his Cowie into the lead and somehow avoided disaster after picking up a banner in his rear wheel. The banner would eventually work its way out before destroying the rear brake. Emig would maintain his advantage over the rest of the field. Jeremy McGrath, the series defending champ, had another rough day after starting well, but he faded outside the top 5. Number 20, Doug Henry, would charge hard all race and eventually work himself onto the podium. The Rocket, Mike LaRocco, blasted his way forward, and if he had another lap, might just have caught Emig, who cruised into the checkered flag and eventually his first ever 250 title. A day short of 29 years later, we're here at Daytona. And it looks just like it did back when Pierre Karsmakers won that very first event here and set off the Supercross juggernaut that we now know here in 2003. Let's go once again to the studio and Ralph Shaheen downstairs.
Well, another guest joining us here in the booth today, Pierre Karsmakers, one of the living legends of Daytona and of motorcycle racing in general, a man who won the Daytona Supercross twice, as well as numerous motocross championships and Supercross championships along the way. You won the first time here in the dry, the second time the very next year in the wet. How different is Supercross racing here at Daytona between the dry and the wet?
Well, the dry, the speed is of course a little bit higher, and when it's wet, it's more demanding, it's more tiring. You make more mistakes because it's more slippery, and it exhausts you more.
About 30 years ago, you won your first championship, and I guess the suspension travel back then would have been about 6 inches, now maybe about 14, 15 inches.
Yes, that's
How
right.
much different is it when you look back at it and you think about the beating you took on one of those bikes compared to what we're seeing technologically today?
Well, we took a lot of beating at that time. We really had to work with our body a lot to keep the bike where we wanted it to be. And now the bikes have a lot more suspension, so you can jump a lot farther and higher and smoother. So, you know, it changed a lot. And also the riders are dancing more on motorcycles nowadays than we did. We had to fight the bike more at that era.
Riders rehabbing their bodies between races is certainly important. What did you do to stay physically in shape? I mean, we hear about all the things that guys do today. What did you do to stay in shape and then get yourself ready to go again the next round?
Well, after the race on Mondays, I always took it easy. I ran maybe 5, 6, 7 miles slowly just to get a work up a sweat again. And then on Tuesday, I started working out harder again. And Wednesdays and Thursdays, I rode the bike always, 2 times 45 minutes. And then, well, Fridays was always our traveling day, fly to the races. And then on Saturdays, I would do a light training again, sometimes practice on the bike, if they allowed us to, and then Sunday was race day again.
Yeah, and I know
I was almost every day working on it.
And obviously you were really into your physical fitness, and I've heard that you think the Hurricane's pretty much out of shape. Bob Hanna's just not holding up his stuff anymore?
Right now, you mean? I don't know. Well, I still ride a lot myself. I like to stay in shape, and I really love motorcycle riding a lot, and you know, that's how you can stay in shape a little bit also, if you love your hobby. And I don't know what those guys are doing now, but I'm still having a lot of fun doing it.
Well, in his 50s, but a true motocross, supercross legend, still riding on a regular basis. Pierre Karsmakers, thanks for stopping by. Enjoy your time here in Bike Week.
Thank you.
Stay with us. Speed Channel is returning to the Daytona Supercross by Honda after this.
If you're a Supercross fan, this is the moment you've been waiting for on Speed, the Daytona Supercross by Honda 250 main event here at Daytona International Speedway. The man who leads the points, the man who's won here 3 times in a row, is right there, front and center on the starting line. We'll take a look at the starting grid for this one and show you all the faces of the men and machines who will be competing, leading off and starting with Ricky Carmichael on his Honda, with Ezra Loss, Joshua Woods, and Danny Smith, the top 4. And it's Reed Rodriguez, who had a very surprising ride here. Nick Way, who's really on a roll here lately. Keith Johnson, we saw him come through the heats with Tim Ferry there. And this is the rest of the field for the 250 main. 30 riders, a larger field than would normally be in a Supercross. Ricky Johnson?
Definitely. Normally they qualify down to 21 riders. Now they got 30. Daytona puts more money into the purse. They want a bigger field. Also, with this much room, they can afford to put some other riders out there. So it's good for the sport and also good for the spectators.
The riders are all in the starting gate, lined up side by side. Our starting grid there brought to you by Arby's. And there is Ricky Carmichael. What more can be said about him? Well, we actually do have quite a bit to say about Ricky Carmichael. We'll have to see how this race goes. The pressure of equaling Jeff Stanton's 4-in-a-row record here, the pressure of winning yet again in Daytona. How will Ricky Carmichael stand up to that?
The way he stood up to every record that he's pounced on so far. You know, Ricky Carmichael just wants to race. He wants to win. Records don't mean anything. They just keep falling. So the 30-second card is up. The riders are getting ready. That's where the mechanics pat them off in the back, say, all right, you're on your own. I've done everything that I can do. Now it's up to you. So you see all the mechanics backing off and giving the riders their space.
All right, we are just seconds away from the start of the 250 main here at Daytona. There's the starting gate. When it drops, they'll be underway. Ricky Carmichael on the number 4 Honda. Right next to him, a whole herd of riders that would like to keep him from equaling Jeff Stanton's record.
Carmichael 4 bikes in. Gets a great jump.
Inside into turn number 1. Carmichael, deja vu all over again from last year. No, he doesn't get the whole shot, but he does get the lead.
He does not come around the first turn first. Larry Ward gets the whole shot right up there with Sean Hamlin and Chad Reed. But Ricky Carmichael, after that first jump, has pulled out a 5-bike length lead.
Amazing performance by Carmichael, who just seems to go on autopilot when he gets here to the Daytona Supercross track. Look at the lead that he has already over Larry Ward. Sean Hamlin is somewhat distant now in 4th position. Reed has taken over 3rd, makes a mistake on the top there, but still keeps it rolling.
Chad Reed's running very, very strong. He'll be in the second shortly, but he did not have anywhere near the lap times of Ricky Carmichael in the heat race, so he needs to make sure that he does not let Ricky get away from him and maybe put a little bit of pressure. We saw this track bite some of the 125 guys, but Chad Reed is the man on the move right now.
Reed working on Larry Ward. South Carolina rider on the Honda at 2nd position. Ricky Carmichael on his Honda out in front. And Reed making a move on the inside. Touched the back wheel of Ward, it looked like. He's really pressuring for that 2nd position.
But he cannot.
Whoa! And Larry Ward out of the saddle, and there goes Reed.
Very, very fortunate for Reed. He was already committed. Ward came up short, and luckily for Reed, he was just off to the side. So now he's got some room. He's got no roost in front of him. See if he has something for Carmichael.
Chad Reed heading out after the leader right now, who's at least a couple of seconds ahead of him at this point. Here they're going to come through that section that gives us a great shot at where they work these jumps. And Carmichael with a small mistake. That's going to cost him a little bit.
But Carmichael with a first lap of a 123. That's 2 seconds faster than any lap he's done. Chad Reed picked it up to a 126, but still 3 seconds off of Ricky Carmichael's first lap.
Chad Reed plants a foot around the corner, heads off into the distance there. That's Carmichael running alongside the tri-oval here at Daytona International Speedway.
Now is when you think about records. Now is when you think about making mistakes. And the only guy that's really put it to you all year long, Chad Reed, who's behind you, even though you know maybe he's not the strongest in the sand, but he is on your tail. And now it's Ricky's race to lose, so he cannot make the mistakes.
Ricky Carmichael, your leader, only 1 lap complete, working towards the end of lap number 2 right now. The race is going to be 20 laps, 30 riders, and Reed is definitely gaining some ground on Ricky Carmichael.
Ricky's trying some different lines. He's in the perfect spot right now because he can watch everywhere where Ricky's going, but he can also try a little bit of different lines back and forth and wonder where he loses and where he makes time and then take the best of the 2 and go for it. Ricky's just has to attack and really not care about anybody but moving forward. Just like we talked about earlier with the practice laps, that's what Ricky Carmichael does. He just is a machine, runs lap after lap after lap.
Ezra Luss back in 8th position, the only other rider that has won this year. Carmichael has won 6 times, Chad Reed twice, and he is coming.
Chad Reed with the 121.1 and a half a second quicker than Ricky Carmichael. So both of these riders now down to a 121.1 and a 121.7. So unbelievable lap times that these guys are throwing down.
Unbelievable indeed. The track is certainly holding together and getting faster, if anything, as we go to the main event here. Carmichael's margin of victory over 2nd place in his heat race was a staggering 35 seconds, and that was doing minute 25s. Imagine if he'd been going this fast.
Whenever we get into the sandy situations, Carmichael seems to pull out a little bit, but when we get into the hard technical section, Chad Reed starts to pull it in. So it's seesawed back and forth, and both of these riders are running very, very fast.
They were both winners here last year. Carmichael in the 250 main, Chad Reed in the 125. They go head-to-head as defending Daytona Supercross winners. We'll be right back to this one in a moment. Welcome back as Ricky Carmichael enjoying a very meager 2-second advantage over Chad Reed, who has thrown down a minute 21-second flat lap here just a few moments ago. Reed is not far behind Carmichael, who seems to have really kind of gathered himself together, and now he's run very consistent laps for the last few.
Ricky Carmichael's not really one that you can pressure into a mistake. Ricky makes him on his own if he ever does. So Chad is really running strong, but he's losing it a tenth of a second at a time. And Ricky Carmichael is the one that's pulling away, but here's the race for third place.
Third place between Larry Ward, number 10 on the Honda. Behind him it's Tim Ferry on a Yamaha, and these two guys have been going after it for quite a while. No one is able to gain a clear advantage over the other. Timmy Ferry pulls up alongside a couple of times, and then Ward runs off.
They've been going elbow to elbow, banging back and forth. Here we go. Swapping the lead back and forth, and now Tim Ferry moves himself into that third spot.
And Ezra Lusk is not far behind them on the number 11 bike. Lusk, again, the only other winner of the season besides Carmichael and Reed. So it's a three-way battle for third. Let's take a look a little bit earlier as these two guys were swapping fabric.
Well, they're moving, they're running really hard. They're not really trying to block. Larry gets out a little bit. Here comes Ferry on the inside. Boom, little jam. Larry's looking back, wondering if Ferry's trying to take him out, but both of those guys are stiff racers. No blood, no foul. And
the mechanics with the terrible towels over there in the pit area, waving them around. You see them swinging those white towels every once in a while. Boy, the guys in the back of the pack are looking awful muddy here as this battle for third starts to heat up.
Larry Ward is one of those riders that has raced 3 different decades, all the different manufacturers. And a couple weeks ago in Atlanta, he ended up having to run the last chance qualifier. His bike was broken. They brought it down at the last second, won that, ended up hole-shotting the main event and leading for about 10 laps. So Larry Ward just did a story with him on Supercross.com. Is one of those guys that stays out there, loves racing, and is always right in the top 5.
Right now, Larry Ward is holding off Ezra Lusk right now. The battle for fourth as Ferry has gotten by and strolled away just a little bit. It's so far behind the leaders that it's doubtful that any of these 3 men will be able to catch either Reed or Carmichael. They're some 30 seconds back or more at this point.
Lusk right now is the man on the move. He's moving forward. He's up on the back wheel of Larry Ward. But you got to remember, it's one thing to catch up to a rider here at Daytona. To get by him's another thing. And this is where Larry was getting past last time, but he seems to have a good rhythm, very constant, and he seems to be throwing that 450 seems to be throwing a lot of dirt in Lusk's face.
Indeed, a lot of roost coming off the back wheel of the big 4-stroke Honda under Larry Ward. Ezra Lusk there in second. Off in the distance has gone Tim Ferry. Chad Reed still chasing Ricky Carmichael, but not successfully, as Carmichael has opened up something on the order of a 4 and almost 5-second advantage over Reed on the Yamaha.
But now let's look back, and those guys are 41 seconds behind the leader. So Ricky Carmichael and Chad Reed are way out in front, but these 3 guys right here, Larry Ward running strong, losing his footing a little bit, but Lusk not able to capitalize.
There is Larry Ward on the number 10 machine, running in 4th position, trying to hold off Ezra Lusk. As Timmy Ferry is out in front. Lusk is right behind him as he comes up here, and lap traffic is an issue. We'll continue to watch this battle while Ricky Carmichael strolls out front. He's slowed down to a minute and 24-second laps, faster than his heat race. At the Daytona Supercross by Honda, it is Honda's Ricky Carmichael putting on a show here today as he runs along the tri-oval in the lead. He is still so aggressive. He is 11 seconds ahead of second place, a minute ahead of third, and he just keeps attacking this track and this field. 12 laps down out of 20 scheduled to run, and RC is looking pretty good.
He's just lapped into the top 5. You got to understand that this is a 1.5-minute lap time. He's lapped all the way up to the top 5, and it's done with passes like this. He goes out there and he's running hard every lap, even if he gets offline. He doesn't slow down, doesn't lose his momentum. But what you're going to see how rough this track is, how deep the ruts are, the hard pack. Take a look at this groove as he comes behind Keith Johnson, comes through the corner. Who says short legs aren't good for Supercross? It's all the way up to his gas tank. That's how deep the ruts are. Also, it's moves like this. Ricky Carmichael splitting 2 different riders. That put him into the top 10. He lapped Heath Voss, who was in 10th position. James Pavolny, he's lapped the 2nd time. So Ricky Carmichael, unbelievable, the show that he's putting on right now, the dominance that he's putting together right now.
And the fans are loving every minute of it as Florida native Ricky Carmichael continues to show them who the best rider in Supercross today is right here at the Daytona International Speedway. He's in a class by himself, clearly. Looking at the battle for 5th right now as Larry Ward slipped back along with Danny Smith. We've got Ezra Lusk off the track, so that moves them up into a battle for 4th position. As Lusk tries to get going again, it's Warden Smith.
That also put Ricky Carmichael, he's lapped up to 3rd position. Unbelievable. But Danny Smith, normally a West Coast guy, just getting his teeth wet, just sinking his teeth into this 250, running a very, very good race today in 6th place. He's a little bit smaller, kind of light in the tail, but he's out there putting together a great run. Larry Ward in front of him. Consistency, consistency, consistency.
Smith, the leading Suzuki in the field right now. Carmichael on his Honda out in front. Then it's Chad Reed on the Yamaha. Timmy Ferry also on a Yamaha in 3rd position. Lusk on his Kawasaki, as we saw him just lose a spot there. Larry Ward on the Honda, and then Danny Smith on Suzuki, the top 6 runners right now. And Ricky Carmichael only has 2 riders on the lead lap with him.
Well, Chad Reed has fallen down, fell behind those different riders. Actually, no, he's lapping them as well. My bad. Now Chad Reed is lapped up to 4th position as well. So these 2 riders in a league by themselves, which normally you see that. You see epic battles between Howerton and Hanna, Bailey and myself, Ward and myself, and also Jeremy McGrath and Jeff Emig. A lot of times 2 guys will step out, whether it's confidence or motorcycle or whatever it is. But these 2 riders are in a league by themselves.
Well, Chad Reed was up as close as he was actually holding the margin at about 9 seconds or 10 seconds. It's up to 12 right now. So Reed, perhaps his spirit is kind of finally broken as he is so far ahead of 3rd place. There's no one to there's no reason to be pressured from behind, and it's clear that he's not going to gain any ground on Ricky Carmichael unless RC makes a major mistake.
Ezra Lusk pushing his way back up. He fell down, fell back quite a bit. Now he's moved his way back up right behind Danny Smith, and he's working on him. Don't want to take anything away from Chad Reed. You know, Ricky Carmichael is the dominant guy out there, but this is only his 1st year in 250, so I'm not going to really want to put him down for the 2nd place behind the strongest guy. And here comes Larry Ward and also Chad Reed lapping into the top 3.
Chad Reed is still on the move, hoping for some help up front.
Danny Smith making an aggressive move on the outside. Larry Ward let off just a little bit to let Chad Reed by. Thought he was getting lapped by somebody else. And great racing going back and forth with Danny Smith moving his way past Larry Ward.
This looks like the first lap of the race, except everybody's way too dirty.
Well, this place gets you very dirty. That's one of the things. You get up close behind somebody, but it's hard to get by him. Now, Larry Ward making another move. And Daytona is one of the only places you see passing on the outside like this.
The sun actually made a brief appearance. The track got faster for a while. 1 minute and 21 seconds, nearly flat. That was Chad Reed's fastest lap of the race, but he's running 2nd to Carmichael. Ricky Carmichael working through traffic on lap number 16. He will complete it in just a few moments as he heads back towards the start-finish line. Does a double jump right there, keeps the pressure on, changes another tear off in the air. He's gotten used to doing that over the years. And this battle back a little bit further behind him for 5th position is still pretty good. Lusk goes.
Danny Smith made a small mistake, looked over and almost looked like he let Lusk by, but Danny was definitely running strong, but didn't have the line. But maybe he looks like he's going to make it bounce back after.
Here he comes back. Danny Smith making a move back on Ezra Lusk. He's just one little short jump away. Now Lusk jets off on his Kawasaki out in front. This battle for 5th continues to rage.
This doesn't seem like a big, you wouldn't think it would be a big gap. you know, a 125 guy versus a 250 guy, but the experience that you have when you ride a 250 all the time, Danny's still learning a lot every lap that he's out there. So my hat's off to him. He's doing a great job adapting to the 250s.
Much like Chad Reed running in second position, Danny Smith making a recent conversion to the 250 class, which Ricky Carmichael did, and had his own problems adapting from the 125 to the 250 machine, but once he got going, there was no stopping him.
Well, Ricky Carmichael's still very aggressive. He's putting more than a period on this. Watching him as he comes through the lap, through the traffic. He's not going to wait to get by. He's going to push him out of the way. He rubs Tyler Evans a little bit, letting him know, get out of the way. Nice riding. He's still getting blasted hard in the face, so he's a champion. He loves to win and he loves to race.
Tyler Evans running in 17th position right now, the number 64 out of California. He's on a Suzuki 250. There's Ricky Carmichael, though. He's just 3 laps, well, just outside 3 laps from the finish of this one. 16 laps are done. He's working on lap 17 right now.
Yeah, Ricky's done a really good job with figuring out the track and the suspension. He's always liked the sand, and definitely he's always been in great physical shape. But Danny Smith, you know, he's in 6th position. He's working his way up. He's trying to chase back Ezra Lusk, but it's not going to happen right now. It's going to take another mistake by Yogi, which sometimes that happens. This track has bit a lot of riders here today, but Danny Smith, number 29, is running a very strong race.
Speaking of 125 riders, defending 125 West champion Travis Preston running in 4th position right now behind Timmy Ferry, who's in the number 3 spot and will mount the podium. It looks like he's got a pretty clear advantage, so we're just updating you on the standings as they scroll across the top of the screen. You can also take a look at where every rider, all the way down to 30th place, a couple of them have retired from this competition. Retired because Ricky Carmichael has just kept the pressure on. Not many can stand that kind of cooking. Well inside 3 laps to go for Ricky Carmichael, and he will stand alongside Jeff Stanton as the only 2 men who have won 4 times in a row here at Daytona. He will move within 2 race wins of the all-time combined list, and Carmichael just keeps it going.
As a matter of fact, that person you saw inside with the big long Honda jacket clapping for him is Jeff Stanton. Jeff Stanton and I have worked back in the 80s. Jeff's a very great person for Honda. He's done a lot of good work for them. But watching Ricky Carmichael, you know, he does not make many mistakes, but he does push it right on the edge. He has made a few mistakes, so let's take a look at this one.
Carmichael's race has not been perfect, but he's recovered from every mistake as he goes for his face again. Take a look.
That was my bad. Ricky Carmichael coming around here pushing very, very hard. Watch, he loses his wheel as he comes off, but he balances with his body, comes up almost on the hay bale, comes up short. That's because that man is strong. He's very confident with his bike. Even a mistake like that, he still maybe only lost a half a second.
Carmichael getting applause from just about everybody around the racetrack. They're paying homage to the man who is the dominant rider in Supercross racing here today, and perhaps in all of the motocross sport, indoors or out.
You're watching the fastest man on a dirt track right now. A lot of people have argued saying that Miguel Pachon or Stefan Everts are faster than Ricky when it comes to outdoors, but his speed is unbelievable. Sebastian Tortelli, who I've been working with earlier this year, who got hurt, was the rider that they thought could question him on the outdoors. But Ricky has been the guy in Supercross, and also look at him here in the sand. He's lapped up to 3rd place. Unreal.
Tremendous conditioning is the key for Ricky Carmichael, and has been. He works himself very, very hard. He strives for perfection, but he's just got such tremendous raw talent and great physical conditioning. It's difficult for anyone to challenge him regardless of which side of the big pond they come from.
He's coming up. He's going to have 1 more lap to go. But Ricky Carmichael, it's his race to lose. I mean, he's almost lapped everybody in the field. So 1 lap to go, just riding, enjoying this time. And he definitely deserves it, because the way he's won it in style. He didn't wait for somebody to fall or be consistent. He races hard every lap, every turn.
Still reaching for tear-offs there, nodding to his crew. As you see, the history being made here at Daytona. We've made a lot of history at this very important racetrack. The Daytona International Speedway gave birth to the entire sport of Supercross with that first win by Pierre Karsmakers, and Ricky Carmichael looking to become the last man to put his stamp on a very long list of Daytona winners.
Look, he relaxed for 1 minute, almost goes down. This track is unbelievably treacherous. See what he does for the crowd. He's wanting to hear him. You know, with his 400th event, he deserves to go out in the record books as the dominant man of his era.
Well, he's certainly playing to the crowd right now, because there's very little else to do besides just stay upright on his bike. As a very quiet ride there by the number 6 15 of Timmy Ferry running in third position. We haven't seen a lot of him. He made a move into that number 3 spot and has just been all alone there so far.
Yeah, here we go, Carmichael. That's Jeff Stanton right there waving at him, cheering him on. And Carmichael's really enjoying this victory. As I said earlier, Daytona was always one of the biggest races for me to race, and also for all these riders. You've got the international fans, you've got people from all over the world, and it's Bike Week. This is the celebration of motorcycles. He's from Florida. This is what racing is all about for Ricky Carmichael. Since he was a little kid riding mini bikes, this is what he's dreamed of.
Well, we saw Nicky Hayden live his dream in the Daytona 200 a year ago, and now Ricky Carmichael does it again for the 4th time consecutively. Ricky Carmichael and his Honda have won here at the Daytona International Speedway. Unbelievable performance that looked like it was going to be a good race early. Then Ricky Carmichael turned it into a one-man show here in front of a huge crowd at what he considers his home track.
A lot of people congratulating him, telling him great job. This man is happy. He's going to want to go run around, do a victory lap. But we got to make sure we get him here on speed so we can talk to him about this historic event.
No question about it. He has shed the helmet now, and he's just going to celebrate. And looking pretty clean considering how many lap riders he had to come up behind. So as Ricky Carmichael prepares to celebrate, we prepare to let you hear from the man who has just won 4 straight at Daytona.
The way you do it, huh? 4th Daytona win. Congratulations.
It feels good. You know, I got an awesome start, and rode smart. Those guys tired out a lot, and man, I kept it going. My Honda was awesome today. I tell you, the thing is unbelievable. It was super fast, and I got all the starts, and that's what you needed to do today. It was an awesome race, awesome.
Well, congratulations, man.
Thanks a lot. It feels good. You know, definitely got to thank Honda, Dunlop, Oakley, Fox, my trainer Eldon Baker. He's got me in tip-top shape, and you know, this was a man's track out here today, and whoever's in shape usually wins. I feel awesome.
Well, awesome job, Ricky. Congratulations. Brian?
All right, Ricky Carmichael, let's take a look at the results. It is the 15th win here at the Daytona Supercross by Honda for Honda. They have now equaled the combined other manufacturers' total of wins in this race. Ricky Carmichael winning 2 for Kawasaki and now 2 for Honda goes into the record books, equaling Jeff Stanton's 4 consecutive victories. If he can win the championship, he'll also equal Stanton for titles in Supercross as well.
Well, Jeff Stanton was a great competitor back in the 90s, and now Ricky Carmichael is the guy that once we turn the corner on the century has been the man and the dominant man. One on 125s, now on 250s.
Carmichael's 2 championships equal those 2 of my broadcast partner Rick Johnson. Let's go back downstairs to Greg White with 0 Supercross championships so far anyway, Greg.
Yeah, thanks, Brian. Chad, that was a heck of a race for you. You had him early, we looked like.
Yeah, you know, I was just, my main focus was to get a good start, and, you know, I knew Ricky was going to be strong, and I just tried to go at it early on, and, you know, he filled my mouth up pretty good with some sand, and I was choking, and I was like, man, just stick it in there, and, you know, I tried my hardest. You know, we almost lapped 3rd, so, you know, nobody else has beat Ricky here, so, you know, I'm bummed out, but I guess, you know, I tried, and we'll come back next year, try harder.
Well, you take the points, you know. Congratulations. Back up to you, Brian.
All right, our congratulations also to Chad Reed for a fine performance. Carmichael with his 7th win of the season extends his lead to 25 points over Chad Reed and David Villeman, who could not compete once again here in the main event after crashing in the heat race. So he'll remain in 3rd position, but a long way back. Let's go now one more time down to our colleague in the studio, and Mr. Ralph Shaheen.
Thanks, Brian, and a great race here today, and a historical one as well for Supercross record books. The 400th 250cc race, and the checkered flag goes to Ricky Carmichael, his 4th win in a row here at Daytona. A tremendous afternoon. Then Aaron Yates will begin the Daytona 200 by Arai, and more racing after that. For Brian Drebber, Ricky Johnson, Greg White, I'm Ralph Shaheen. Thanks for joining us here for the Daytona Supercross by Honda. Ricky Carmichael, your winner. We'll see you back here at Daytona for more Bike Week tomorrow. Where else? On Speed.